My name's Peter Byrom-Smith. I'm a composer and I write music for concerts, for theatre, film, and I work with bands in the studios. I mean, music really comes from the fact that when I was younger, I was a mute. I was a selective mute, as it were, due to family circumstances. And the only thing I actually got anything out of was music. For 3 years, I lived on the streets, but all I had to walk around with the clothes I stood up in. It's like a cliche, this, but clothes I stood in, a guitar, cassette player with a broken lid, with Harvest from Neil Young, the only cassette I had, and I had Busk. And then if I had nowhere to sleep, I'd just sleep under a bridge or sleep under some trees in the woods somewhere. Did this thing for the art college. I'd done some theatre pit stuff and ranging. I was writing my own songs, busking, carrying stuff on the stage at festivals. I got a part-time job in a music shop, which anybody out there wants to be a real composer or arranger. You never know who you're going to meet. So I did the music shop. I've got these things going on. They're playing in a theatre. I was teaching as well. So that teaching became a really big thing for me. And over the years, I'd gone into workshops in schools and colleges, universities. But all these sort of things that I did were all teaching me how to write music and make a career for myself. I just knew I wanted to do this. And there wasn't an option. I couldn't do it. So I decided I wanted to be a musician. So by the time I left school, I could play a couple of instruments. I could play the piano and guitar, and I'd written pieces of music, songs, choir, etc., etc. I'd got to this position where I like to say I was okay as a player. I could play most stuff, from blues, rock, folk, classical, and I taught myself how to read music pretty well. I wanted to play orchestral stuff and I wanted to work in theatre. So people asked me, could you write something for theatre? Could you come and do this song? Could you arrange a song? And I just said, yeah. And the secret of being a good, if you often requested composer or arranger, is always say yes. And I say to any student at college, university, I'll say yes, then think how are you going to do it afterwards. Because one of the things that you think on your feet then. And if you want to be a professional composer or arranger, or if you want to be a session player, for instance, I've done that as well, you're given a very minimum amount of time as a session player. You go in there and you read through what the instructions, you talk to the arranger, they say, right, I want the particular style, so you're scanning a piece of paper and you have to try and figure it out. You maybe get 30 to 40 minutes maybe, and then you've got to play 2 or 3 tracks, takes on it, and then that's got to be it. There's lots and lots of ways of being a composer. Because people emulate sort of film composing, which I've done, and people maybe want to work in-house for studios. Lots of studios have their in-house songwriters. I always advise, if you want to get involved in studios or library work, to find the person in contact with the studio, be it recording studio or film studios, even small local film studios well worth contacting, or even if you wanted to go to a commercial radio station or television station local to the area. Contact them and find the contact for the music director or the music editor. And don't expect massive remuneration for that at first there. So you're not going to earn the Hollywood style big bucks and things, but you can earn a reputation, and the reputation is priceless, because that's how we eventually can actually end up working for big film studios. You have to start somewhere. So can I make a suggestion here that if somebody says to you, or even put it about amongst your family and friends, that if they're having a wedding and you want to be a composer, say, would you like me to write something for the wedding day? And use your friends and family. But then when somebody does come to say, oh yeah, send us something for our music live, we'll have a listen. You've actually got something you've written. You've been paid and you've got it recorded. It's been used, it's got experience. And then that looks from somebody at the music live is going, oh, so it's been performed, it's being used, so I can see some royalties have come back on here. And that immediately sells it to them, thinking, oh, it's somebody who's looking at this as a professional job. He's not just doing it in his bedroom, looking at somebody's trying to develop something. So do that. I always say to performers, go and play at somebody's wedding, go and play that, and they come back and say, no, it's only 25 quid each. And said, 25 quid you didn't have, and you got a £30,000 loan now at university, so get 25 quid. And then while you're there, you never know who you're going to meet, and they might come back and say, and then you just say, oh yeah, it's 30 quid. And they go, oh yeah, because we saw you last time, you're really, really good. Oh, okay. Because once somebody actually likes you, they talk to you, the chances are they won't turn you down if you're not too greedy, as it were. Listen to as much stuff as you can. Try experimenting. So if you're doing that daily writing, try something. You're not writing for a particular brief, you're actually writing for the sake of writing and trying something. Yeah, as a composer, I'm always freelance. I do get very bored with things. Not of the music and not of the people I'm working with, but there comes a point where creativity-wise, you've got something to say and you're going to say it. And often if you work with the same people, you get in this, you can just churn it out. A quick tip for putting composers out there, don't think that once you reach this point, that is it. If you do, people see that your heart's not in it. You might think your heart's in it, but all you're doing is producing the same old stuff over and over again. It's very, very easy to become complacent. So you just think, oh yeah, people like that, so I'm going to write this to this formula and I'll produce the same thing over and over again. And it brings in the money. But that's not being artistic. If you become sterile and you become this, it's easy to do. You lose all the respect of people who followed on that journey, but also in the music world as well, because people say, well, they've not really got any integrity because they're just actually trying to milk the money. Financially, it's very precarious as a composer. That's one of the things I've found over the years. So I've always been very lucky that I go from like animation films or something like that, and I'll maybe do some lecturing, I'll do some workshops, I'll do an odd performance, I'll write some arrangements of pop music, and then I'll write a symphonic work which commissions the work. Sometimes it's meeting deadlines and things like that can be quite hard. Recently I've had to work, I think it was 2 nights right through, never slept, never. I delivered it for recording, which had to be done after the 3rd day really. But it was so important. The studio's booked, the musicians are booked, we've got orchestra who all expect me handwritten parts, because I even got a chance to send it to a third party, if you like, to actually turn it into printed music. I had to write by hand, so I just stayed up for 2.5 days. But also being able to quickly adapt with a pen and paper, give it to a performer, they go through it 2 or 3 times, play it back, listen to it, let's do the edit. That's so professional. That means nobody else involved then has to book a second day in the studio. And you show very impressive how creative thinker you are. And that can build a massive reputation in the studio, because that's what I've done over the years, and people then come back and say, oh, because if we don't like it, we can just rewrite it while it's here. There's 2 ways of looking at it. If you want to be continuously creative for all your life and have a steady income. Somebody said, oh, I want to be a professional musician and earn a lot of money. I said, you can either be one or the other. You can earn loads of money, or you can be professional. Basically, you can always have work coming in, developing new ideas. You can be in bands, you can play in one band, play in a reggae band, and then suddenly go and play prog rock band and go off, divert all over the place. It doesn't mean you're going to millions, but if you want to be rich, you do a musical job, but then you stick to that style, and then you are looking down this thing, which suits some people. But I'd like to think all people, budding composers, want to do something different and off the wall and be out there doing it. Over the years, I've been very, very privileged to be able to travel all the world, which is really, really nice. For years, I go 2 or 3 times a year to Georgia. And if anybody gets the opportunity to go to Atlanta, New York's great, but Atlanta is like this volcanic eruption of multi-genre, back to what I was saying earlier about multi-genre stuff, because you've got all this stuff from Latin America and Central America sucked into this vortex, which is Georgia. And Atlanta's the central point, if you like, and it's fantastic, and I would go over there all the time. And then I started working in New York. So I've been working in America quite a bit, and recently I've been doing a big project in Japan, which is really, really good, and it's a big ongoing thing for the next 10 years. Day-to-day job-wise, if you work in a salary job, if you're working in in-house studios for radio, TV, or you're doing film studios, where you're probably one of a number of composers, arrangers, who work for a major composer. Don't let the ego get in the way of the fact that you're working for somebody else who's another composer who gets more money than you. They're the person who's being paid the large amount of money because they've got all the reputation you hope you're working on now. Because you could be in that position, but you've got to start off somewhere. The equivalent would be when I was a kid making tea for the music shop. People think it's degrading to make tea for the music shop. I took the opportunity to take a score and have a read of it free, which I could never afford the score because my wages didn't come to a full orchestral score, but they allowed me to look through the score. But I also got chatting to other members of staff who played in an orchestra and said, oh, well, do something with your stuff if you like. I say to people about playing at weddings and things like this and corporate do's. There's nothing that sticks in the gullet of a lot of musicians. Well, I'm not playing a corporate thing. Think same thing again. Swallow your pride. Get the money. Don't give more than you have to. Just be professional about it. You're playing a gig just like if you were going to work in a factory or anything else like that. Keep your dignity. Play at the best of your ability. Take the money, and you never know who you might meet there. Perk-wise, it's the advantage really. You get to meet some really interesting people. When I go in the studio, I go meet a soloist, or I meet somebody who's come up with this great idea for a film, or I'm saying about art exhibitions where I do, and so that's all perks. You're getting your music out there, you get some royalties in, etc. You get to travel. The disadvantages are saying you could be working all hours, and it's very tiring and demanding. But then you just think to yourself, okay, I've learned something from that one. And I keep saying, oh, I won't ever stay up all night, and I still do. Integrity. I mention integrity because it's really, really important. It's something I always live by. People then know you're delivering what you promise you're going to deliver. And if you deliver, people come back to you. Don't be too greedy when you're an up-and-coming composer. Same again if you were performing as well. Very careful about your fees. The other thing is, if you're trying to be an individual composer with a creative bias towards what I say with this multi-genre music, and widen your palette. Just spend all your basic waking and sleeping hours, if you can, listening to music. The overview of the music scene in Leeds is quite vibrant, and I think there's so many talented people out there. And I think one of the problems is, and I think it's not just in Leeds, I think it's in Manchester as well, it's drawing everybody together to realise there's a musical community. But it's growing, and the opportunities are there for everybody. And I mentioned about the palette of drawing all the different genres together. It's really, really important that we absorb this and then use that palette to express ourselves freely. That means we also have to compromise to a certain extent and collaborate more. That means we have to then draw, in Leeds there's the music hub, there's the colleges, you've got the universities, you've got all the music departments, etc. It's drawing everybody in and realising we can all share something together. There's so many people doing all sorts of music production, recording, be it in the bedroom, be it in college, be it in a group of friends who have got a band together doing a pub gig, they're doing a club gig, they're doing whatever it is there. They're all thinking the same thing. They want to be creative. Every human being likes music. But we're all put into this thing, if we aren't careful, that we're told by the powers that be somewhere along the line that we have to like a particular style. That is the one at the moment. This is one most important music ever. So it be X Factor or The Voice, whatever it is, that's the one which sells all the billions of records. So if you don't like that, there must be something wrong with you. That's all rubbish. Everybody likes across. I mean, you go around to your mates' houses and just look what's in their CD collection, or look on their list of music files they've got on their computer. And there won't be one genre. There'll be multiple genres. Now, if in Leeds and every other city in the country, the groups of these musicians who play in all these different genres, and I'm hoping they're all mixing over, and I'm sure they do, more and more so. Whatever it is, that is community based. It's not about being a professional musician, but the professional musicians yourselves can actually get involved in that and direct and lead. And the more experience you got from that, you can actually then go off and help everybody else. And then hopefully you're encouraging other people to come along behind you and do exactly the same. But it means collaborating and being in almost like a music collective. But you also have to respect each other, and that's the important thing. And you gain respect by accepting other people's point of view. In a city like Leeds, where it's a big population, it's got loads of opportunities, it's got venues, it's got some great venues here. You can actually get people together. But it means sometimes that you have to actually lower our barriers down and say, no, I'm not just a rap artist, I'm not just a folk musician, I'm not a heavy metal freak or something like that. I'm a musician. And then go for it.